social media audience, and of course, everybody who's in the congregation today. And as you can see, Levy is representing Breast Cancer Awareness Month with his pen, and I'm representing the best university in the land. So that's just, just a fact. And I think his university just became a university not long ago. But there's other things we're here to talk about. What's the topic today?
Yes, finally. The topic today is actually Christian persecution. And I wanted to start off with this verse here. John chapter 15, verse 20. This is Jesus speaking, and he says, "Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also." So I wanted to start off with the definition of persecution that I found, just persecution at its base. But it's defined as a program or a campaign to exterminate, drive away, or subjugate people based on their membership in a religious, ethnic, social, or racial group. Oftentimes it's a perpetual mistreatment or extermination, something of that nature.
Right. So I want to talk about a little bit when it comes to the difference between persecution and discipline. So oftentimes I think we kind of get those two things mixed up a bit. So persecution, just like you said, is when there's harm involved. And sorry, I'm getting over a cold, so bear with me as we go through this. But I want to talk a little bit more about Christian persecution. So Christian persecution is when someone inflicts harm on us because we belong to Christ and live in accordance with God's will. And if we are indeed doing that, then we should actually expect to be persecuted. It shouldn't be a surprise to us. So 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 12 says, "Indeed, all who desire to live godly in Christ will be persecuted." So this comes with the territory. It's important to note that God does not persecute us. However, God disciplines us. Now, Proverbs chapter 3, verses 11 through 12 says, "My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline. Do not resent his rebuke, because the Lord disciplines those he loves, as a father the son he delights in." A lot of famous ministers have been disciplined, even though they claimed they were being persecuted.
That's an excellent point, Malcolm. I read an article online when doing some research, and I found an article by Jesse Carey. He's the editor of Relevant Magazine, and it was basically talking about what true persecution looks like. And one of the quotes that he said, or one of the things that he said in the article was, "Many of us will never know what true persecution looks like. That's why we must focus our attention, our love, our prayers, and our activism on the real victims of injustice instead of only fighting battles for freedom that we already have." And the point that he was making was that here in America, we have laws, we have things set in place so that people can practice they have religious freedom, so they can really practice whatever they want. No one can kill you here for what you believe. Now, maybe metaphorically speaking, in the media you'll get negative publicity and things of that nature, but it's different when you go overseas. There are Christians actually over in different parts of the world that are literally facing death for what they believe as far as being Christians because of their faith. Boko Haram, which is an extremist group in northern Nigeria, their leader, Abubakar Shakar, has actually pledged war against the effects of Christianity in Nigeria. He's done that by kidnapping girls, kidnapping the little girls, and different executions. I mean, there's footage online of people being decapitated, execution style, because of what they believe, because of their faith. Parts of the Middle East, people are also under attack. Another thing that Jesse Carey from Relevant Magazine, he said that we cannot go comparing a TV show, Christian Joke, or Kim Davis supposedly being in jail for her beliefs as legitimate persecution. There are instances of people being subjected to violence because of their faith, but that's not a way of life here in America. There is punishment for those types of things.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to be getting to the question, are you prepared to suffer? So Christian persecution, are you prepared to suffer? But first, based upon the information that you've heard so far, we're going to see if we can test your knowledge. So again, discipline is an act of love. Persecution is an act of hate. So now let's see if we can recognize it with this true or false quiz. So this is where we need your participation. So someone calling you a Jesus freak is persecution. Is that true or false? False. You're very good so far. Question 2. Someone not inviting you to their party because you're a Christian is persecution. True or false? False. You getting passed over for a promotion is persecution. True or false? Y'all are excellent. You getting beat up by an angry mob for sharing the gospel is persecution. True or false? Excellent. You got a 100%.
Malcolm, I wanted to go into the New Testament of the Bible to show some different examples of persecution as it's happened. We have John the Baptist in Mark chapter 6, verse 14 through 29. You can read about that. John the Baptist spoke out against the adultery of Herod, and he was beheaded. Stephen, who was said to be one of the first deacons for preaching the gospel before the Sanhedrin and proclaiming God's judgment because of the sins of the people, he was rejected and he was stoned. That's in Acts chapter 7, verse 1 through 53. It actually talks about it. There's his speech there in 1 through 53, and then 54 through 60 talks about the stoning. Paul, formerly known as Saul, that we know, who met Jesus on the road of Damascus, he actually persecuted Christians, and then on the flip side of that, ended up having to go through some persecution as well. He was beaten, he was imprisoned, and then eventually he was finally killed in Rome. And then also climactically, Jesus Christ himself, who preached God's grace and judgment. That's in Matthew chapter 4, verse 17, and also Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 through 29. He was persecuted by his hearers, plotted against by his adversaries, and then finally crucified. So Jesus Christ is another example.
Mm-hmm. So now everybody clearly knows at the beginning I wasn't persecuting you when I was talking about your school.
Right.
Everybody's clear on that. All right. So again, the question is, are you prepared to suffer for the cause of Christ? Are you willing to suffer? So I thought about this. If I was in a boxing match with Levy, I can put my hands up and be prepared for his next punch to come. Just like I expect that punch to come my way if we're in a boxing match, I should actually expect persecution to come my way as a Christian. So at the same time, it's not a situation where I'm really looking forward to being persecuted. You know what I mean? Like most people, I don't actually enjoy pain or painful experiences. But at the same time, I understand that pain is part of the process, especially as we grow closer to Christ and as this world becomes increasingly sinful.
That's right, Malcolm. Well, we're just about out of time. We really enjoyed being up here today. Please join us on the chat online over on the right-hand side if you're streaming online. And until that time, we encourage you to go beyond your comfort zone, beyond your community.
And beyond the well. Thank you.
Thank you.